why do we have some videos that are being taken down and removed as not deemed safe? It seems to me like we're looking for trouble there.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up that video. It's like, for people, I guess, who are watching, it's that Dr. Erickson video from those two doctors in Bakersfield, California, which is not too far from where I'm at, really. I guess it is, but I mean, it's in California. But, they had this press conference where they just presented what they're seeing, and then made a case for how lockdown should be handled in the future. And it's like, as like a student of rhetoric, it's a really interesting thing to look at it in its totality. People tend to call those types of press conferences, they tend to be kind of quacky. Like, there's a lot of quackery. It's like almost like self-publishing your own book or something like that. But I watched it, and the information that they presented seemed really credible to me, because like, they're two doctors who are in the middle of it, and I'm not thinking about the fact that they own urgent care centers and they want them to be open or whatever, or, they're definitely like dropping little hints. Like, at least one of them has like a Gadsden flag t-shirt somewhere in their closet. You know what I mean? like it just has that feel. But, and then in between the time I saw it and today, YouTube took it off. So it's gone. Right. So immediately my first thought was like, holy fuck, why did this get pulled off? It seemed really reasonable to me. Why can't you just tell me what's wrong with it instead of just pulling it away? And then I went and found an article, which, because I'm not an epidemiologist or a statistician, that I could barely understand. And I sent it to my friend who's a nurse. And he was like, yeah, this rebuttal makes some pretty good points about like the way they looked at it. But like, if you don't have the video up there, you can't have any debate. Like, it was pulled down before that debate broke out in the comment section, which is usually a dumpster fire. But still, like, if I was less curious and more conspiratorially minded, I would have just gone with, yep, proof. They didn't want you to hear it.
Well, and I know that is happening. Like, I know that whatever doubt people had in the back of their minds, if they're not living, like, when you live out in the Midwest, you're kind of suspicious of California. You're kind of look at the tech companies and say, why is it that they think they know better than me or better than the people in my area? And so if you go through and find a video that for the first time in a month, people have felt like, hey, I maybe don't understand the numbers, but these people talk to me as though I was an intelligent person, as though I could follow their point. They moved quickly. They didn't pander to me. That made a lot of sense. I like that. And somebody tell me why I shouldn't like it. And instead of having like a really clear, articulate person, what I saw was a whole bunch of people jump in and say, well, this is wrong and bad and stupid. And, by the time it went from, I saw it at about 800,000 views, and then it got up to 5 million. What is the point of taking it down at that point? At that point, taking it down turns it into a sacred object. That guy's going to be more famous than the Tiger King.
Yeah, I predict that within 2 weeks he will be on the Joe Rogan show. Like, I'm sure, or, Dave Rubin, I saw was trying to get him on his show. Like, that guy's kind of a kook, but he's got a big platform, And then, like, to your point about people have seen other things like, we've all been going through the CNN news cycles where we see a thing, and then the reporting on it is drastically different than what we just saw with our own eyes. I mean, like the Joe Biden thing. I don't know if he's having mental decline, but I know that I can go find a whole bunch of videos that don't look great. And it's like it's your job to tell me why I'm wrong there. You're not supposed to believe your lying eyes. I mean, what's going on here? It's just super weird. And then you deal with something that's inherently technical, like a global pandemic. Like, you sort of have to rely on this scientific priest class. But when they're lying to you in other places, you can't ever really trust them, or at least, or if you feel like they're lying to you, or like, and then like my approach to it is like, I have no fucking idea. Like, I'm just a regular ass dude. How am I supposed to figure this stuff out? And I have more time than most people. I don't have kids.
Yeah, I mean, like my situation, this is exactly why I started this podcast, because I was like, I happen to know a lot of people with a whole bunch of different perspectives. I'm going to call them up and find out. And it has made me a way more humble person, because I hear an idea from somebody that I respect, somebody I like, they've explained it to me. I'm like, all right, I'm going to follow that way of thinking. And then a few hours later, I talk to somebody else that thinks something totally different. And I'm like, man, that also sounds reasonable. And I have the option of making no decision. I'll just stay in my house for a while longer. I can do that. I can do a lot of my work from home. And it's not ideal. It's not my favorite, but like not that big of a deal. I'm actually doing pretty well. And so then you have to start asking yourself, like, if I were facing the fact that I had to go out and I needed to find something to give me courage, is taking away that courage. I don't know, man. I feel so, I'm angry about the fact that YouTube took that down, because even if those guys were wrong, and I liked it, what they had to say, it made me feel good. But even if those guys were wrong, why does Google want to step in and start saying we are going to be the arbiters of truth and not truth?
Yeah, it's weird, especially when you don't really have native expertise in the area. You know, like Google, like I'm sure there's very smart people there, but you know, they're just relying on a cabal of scientists just like we are to parse this out, you know. And it's, you know, like I'm not a person who's like, you know, ignore experts or anything like that, but I definitely don't think that the people who consult experts always have your best interests at heart, you know, or the people who do the interpretation. It's just like the Bible. Like some people will tell you, you know, this is cool. Other people will say this isn't cool. And if you're not an expert or you haven't read it yourself, like you're at the mercy of these other people. You know, and then when you're like, I can imagine if you're like a flyover state type dude and, you know, the person on television has been shitting all over your lifestyle in every other possible way. And then he tells you to shut up, retard, stay home. But, you know, like you're not going to respond to that.
Yeah. And I think like anytime you have a crisis like this, you're going to have the Overton window opens up, the ideas that are acceptable in a given society. And definitely the countryside was wary of the people in the city thinking that they could rule over them. But the other day, people started talking again about taking away the Electoral College and making it so it's just a popular vote. And I can tell you that the people that are going to work right now, that are going in and planting crops and getting their fields ready, they hear you talking about, like, we're going to get rid of any kind of control you have over your life. This is a bad time to bring that up. Well, maybe it's a good time if that's what you want to do, is be provocative, but this is going to cause real sparks.